I always like to start with my team talking about what OSHA describes as an accident. And what they say is that an accident is an incident that is unplanned, that occurs, that causes injury or property damage. I go a step further and I say that it is that, but it's also the result of human error. The human error that I was speaking of, when you add the heights that we work at in solar, can make one small mistake turn into a much bigger incident and can definitely result in serious injury, if not even death. As a crew lead, it's my main responsibility to make sure that everyone makes it home safe to their families. I recommend to all the new trainees to get their OSHA 10 card so they understand what is at stake and they can get perspective on construction accidents. But the OSHA 10 card is also a really good way to get your first immediate raise at whatever company you're working with. We have three main parts to our safety. We first need to work as a team, and then we have our safety infrastructure that we build, and then we have our personal protective equipment. Our teamwork is making sure that no one is unfit to work, that we're not putting ourselves in any unnecessary working conditions or doing anything that shouldn't be done at that moment. In that teamwork, we then can build our site safety infrastructure. In solar, it's fall protection mostly. After we have our site safety infrastructure in place, that's when we rely on our personal protective equipment. And that is the last line to prevent any accidents or incidents from occurring. Fall elimination is just trying to get as much of the work done from a safe working height before we get onto the roof. This means prefabricating as much material as we can, putting up hoists and lifts for the heavy material so we're not carrying it up ladders, and getting good teamwork and leadership from whoever's around. Luckily, the solar manufacturers of the components these days are making that a lot easier for us so that we don't have to do as much customization or fabrication on the roof, and we can do a lot of that work now from a safe condition and then bring it up to the working height. But unfortunately, we are in the residential solar and our main work is on the roof. So there's only so much fall elimination we can do before we need to be relying on our own personal protective equipment and other safety infrastructure. We have fall prevention versus fall elimination. Once we're on the roof, we're preventing ourselves from getting near a fall hazard. We can put up guardrails, warning lines with tape and delineators, and any other kind of safety infrastructure that we can put into place to keep people away from a fall hazard. Guardrail systems allow workers to work at a height without needing to put on a harness or a rope. The guardrail system, whether it's actual steel or just delineators, are set away from the edge so that no one can actually get close to the fall hazard. This is a common solution to large flat roofs if there's no barrier or roof parapet at a height of above 4 feet. After the infrastructure of fall prevention and elimination, we need to rely on our PPE or personal protective equipment in fall arrest and fall restraint. Although this is personal protective equipment, it goes hand in hand with the teamwork and the infrastructure in place. Okay, so we have our fall protection on, everything's secured, not too much gap between, everything's tight enough, you're not gonna slip through. So this will be your roof anchor point right here. So if you're the roof anchor point, I'm gonna attach this to myself in some way, either behind my back as like that, yep, or I'm gonna stabilize myself on the pitch of the roof facing up towards you, towards the anchor
Now,
point.
I don't have those on mine.
You don't have those on yours, but you still have the back lanyard for fall arrest. So yours can look like this. And you'll be able to attach to your rope grab. Now if this is the peak of the roof,
I can adjust my
you can
position
go up
on
or down and it will grab. And then to adjust down, and then it will grab. Now you can have slack out. We have 6 feet right here. So you don't want to have too much slack out or else it won't grab you before you hit the ground. So this is a yo-yo. It'll allow you to move slow, but it acts like a seatbelt to arrest you from falling off the edge. This allows me to move freely, but should I slip or fall, the harness will arrest my fall before I hit anything below. What I choose as the fall protection for a job is going to depend on the type of roof, the job site, if it's a construction site, residential home, and the working conditions of the weather and everything. Typically, I want to have multiple options on site always. That way, the human error element is taken out of equation. This means our infrastructure is put in place and checked by our coworkers to allow our PPE to function properly. One of the topics in fall prevention and fall protection that's not often spoken about is the hazard of being below a work site. If you're underneath of people working, you need to be wearing a hard hat. Preventing things from falling off the roof is important, and keeping people safe below is just as important. Once we understand our fall protection equipment and how to safely be on a roof, we need to understand how to get to the roof. Most cases, this is a ladder, and I think that ladders are in their own topic of discussion for fall protection. Ladders, in my opinion, are much more of a danger than standing on a sloped roof. A ladder can shift, wobble, break, kick out. I always aim to tie the ladder down at the roof edge to prevent it from sliding left or right, and I try to tie the base down to prevent the feet from kicking out away from the building. Always tie off the ladder, and even with it tied off, use teamwork to hold the ladder steady when possible. To prevent the ladder from kicking out, I use the 4-to-1 rule in setting the ladder. The slope of the ladder is going up 4 feet for every 1 foot it moves towards the building. If your arms can't reach the ladder, it is at too much of an angle, and the base will slide out as your weight reaches the top. If your arms are bent reaching the ladder, then the ladder is too steep and your weight can cause it to fall back. Once at the top with someone holding the ladder below, you can safely get onto the roof in order to tie it off. You can tie it off to the roof rafters exposed to the eave under the roof, or a chimney or pipe on the roof. But even tied off, we have to be careful to understand the physics of a ladder. We need at least 3 rungs of ladder exposed to the edge of the roof to safely move off and on to the ladder. The ladder is like a seesaw, where the roof edge is the apex. When getting on or off, if you put too much weight on one side of the apex, it will push down and raise the other side. If the feet aren't properly tied off or have someone holding it, you can kick your ladder out. There are ways around using tie-off methods if none are applicable or present. We can use ladder stabilizers to keep from sliding left or right, and it will also prevent damage to the gutter or the roof edge. Just like any accident, a ladder is prone to human error. By eliminating the human error, we can prevent all incidents.